you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
This is Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are ladies things that makes official. Welcome to 60 years, 2,800 episodes of the Chris Voss Show. Where we bring you the most amazing minds, stories, journeys, entertainment that you can find anywhere on the web that's wonderfully positive and uplifting.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today, we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking to him about his book called Freedom Lost by Mark A. Handy, out July 20th. 2021. We're going to get into it with him and find out what his new novel is about. Mark A. Handy is a U.S. veteran and college graduate with a deep concern for our country. He writes to evoke a sense of awareness, just how wrong things could go, I guess, if we don't do it right. Maybe experience that now in 2026. I don't know, maybe. So welcome to the show, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Give us the .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
That would be AZ Shadow. Oh, shoot. I can't think of it offhand.
All right, there'll be a link on the Chris Voss Show.
Okay.
And they can just click that link. And so if you do remember mid-show, just give it to us, or we'll ask you again at the end of the show. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside this new book?
What it's about is it's speculative. What could possibly happen if the wrong people were put into power? There is a dark government type of thing that helps the whole thing happen, because I think the American people would be too much on top of stuff to see what's going on. But basically, a president becomes into power, and he basically loses control. He basically becomes a dictator, the president, or
Then let me ask you this. So is this set in the future? Is a novel? Is it set far in the future? Or is it kind of today's sort of thing, in today's current format of life?
Nothing current. It's been going for a long time. So it's I would say it's in the near future.
But is it still in the format? I mean, what I'm asking is it like some, far futuristic sort of novel, or is it kind of current day?
It could be. I mean, it's not, but it is. It could be current depending on the next presidential election.
Yeah. So tell us more. Who's the protagonist in the book, and what are they up to?
The name is Mace, and he's in Arizona. He's a part of a militia, which is not what the news people put out of what a militia, but they are what a militia actually is Americans who get together to help if something happens with the government. Basically what happened with the militia at the start of our country. And it takes place in Cochise Stronghold in southern Arizona, and they are basically not agreeing to do what the government says. They want us to take guns and put us in FEMA camps and such, and they just didn't do it, and there's a very nasty situation with that. And then the rest of it is revolution. People get tired of what the government is saying. The militia, the power, they're controlling everything. And then at some point people get tired of it, and that's when the American people start doing it, taking care.
They start trying to take the government back. Is that
not the government so much as our country?
Okay. I mean, how would you take the country back? Take the country back without taking back the government, I guess.
Well, the government is a problem right now because the president is he's basically the bad guy. He's making things happen that are not supposed to be doing it. And the way to do that is people stand up. Unfortunately, there has to be violence. If they're making you shoot at you because you're going to be trying your speech, your lang, the speech of your speech of freedom, trying to talk, and they shoot you, that's not the way things are supposed to happen. So the American people get together and basically get on the other side of it. It's like similar to a Civil War type of thing, only it would be North and South.
He becomes, now it says here on the Amazon page, King Lording One. Is that?
He calls himself that. His actual president, he's president of Lawrence Larding. Lording. Lawrence Larding. That's his actual president, but he puts himself as a king.
And there's a massacre that takes place that's kind of a flashpoint, I believe, in the book. Tell us about that.
That happened at the beginning of the Cochise Stronghold when the militia are getting to their woods, the mountains, to their little stronghold where they just stay away from everyone, but they get caught at the Cochise Stronghold, and the president and his advisors chose to use a low it's a very low yield nuclear device.
Oh wow!
And they wipe out the stronghold.
So he uses nuclear weapons on Americans, his own people. Wow.
Yeah, that's
probably not going to go over well.
And no, it didn't. And Mace is the one person that avoided. He was out of it, and he had been.
When you say out of it, what does that mean? He got blown up.
Yeah, he had driven away.
So he survived it. Okay.
Yeah, he had survived, and he had been told to go to Phoenix to talk to the Arizona governor, hoping that her militia, her National Guards, would have some sort of help in that. So he was sent to contact the governor, and as he was leaving that's when the yield came off. Everyone else got killed.
And that basically made it to where he was like, hey, I'm going to get revenge, or I'm going to...
It took a while. He was gone for about 2 years because he was on the road and just trying to survive. And finally he started talking to other people that there were resistance groups that were trying to get things started. So, we got to stop this. This isn't, it's not the way America is. And he gets into that. That comes into Chicago. He's in Chicago where he found that resistance group, and the rest of the book is about that.
Resistance.
Yes,
it can be quite hard, especially. I mean, I often think, when I see people running around going, "Yeah, we got our militia, we're gonna fight the government." I'm like, have you seen the drones they have? They don't have to show up and aim at you anymore. They just drop shit on you.
Yeah. The thing to remember this is, and this is part of what Mace kind of put out to other people, that everyone in the military, you have to remember that the president is the commander of chief. However, your office is not to the president. Your office, your oath is for the Constitution, and that's what everybody else is. The government, everybody. Your first oath is to protect the Constitution, and so that causes a ripple in the military.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So not everything nasty that's coming at the militia is getting from the bad guys. Some, both sides working. It turns into a real hornet's nest.
It sounds like quite some interesting things. There's a lot of people who've written, or I think there was a movie about a Civil War or something in America. What do you think makes your book kind of different and unique from some of the other iterations of publishing that have tried to kind of broach this subject or tell a storyline around it?
I've heard about the movie. I haven't watched it until I get everything done on my stuff. I want my own dialogue. The little bit I heard about it was about reporters were trying to get back to DC or something. I just shut it down. I've heard no other books that I've read about it. Not that it's not there, I just haven't read it.
Yeah.
The only thing I have that is close to what I have is that movie, Civil War.
Oh, okay.
And from what I understand, it's not what I'm going at. That we're trying to take out a president who is basically not, what do you call it? He's not an honorable man in that president. He wants his throne and crown, and he wants everybody to do exactly what he says.
Yeah, that's ultimate power for you.
Yeah, and that's not what the government, the president, is for. You see all this no kings stuff I've seen, and it's like, go away, people.
I mean, that's part of the American protest, right? Are you talking about, like, in your book? Is that what you mean? Like, he wants them to go away?
But our president wants, I'm not sure what you're saying.
I wasn't sure if you're, you made the reference to the no kings thing.
Oh.
And then you said they should go away. Is that what, in the case of your book or context of that president, it's the fictional one in your book, he would want them to go away? I wasn't sure what part you said that in.
If that was to happen in my book, people would go away. You wouldn't be able to have, you wouldn't be able to have any president.
They'd nuke you.
No, he doesn't do that because he's already learned that happened to. But there's at the beginning of the story in Chicago where people are on not skyscraper, but it's a building, like maybe a 10th-story building, and they basically played some music and made some statements. This isn't right, and they were able to evacuate. They got away, and nothing happened. But then there were other people in the country that were then videoed, and that they tried to do the same thing, making music. We don't like this, and they attack helicopters and basically wiped out the top of the building. That's what this president does to people who don't agree with what he says.
Yeah, that'll tend to do it. It's kind of how authoritarianism is and classism work. So what was the proponent that made you write this book? Was it your first book that you'd ever written? What was the proponent behind it?
What started the whole thing was way back in Clinton. And he did the Brady law. The Brady,
for guns?
Back in the 90s. It was a bill that was actually made law. And that was very disturbing. But I started leading other things. There was a lot of conspiracy stuff that I looked into. FEMA was a definite part of my storyline. I've looked into online FEMA and the things that have done with different presidents. And there's a whole lot of executive rules that they've made, and they're very, very disturbing. And they say that, okay, this is if something happens, we have to do this to support the government. That also can take into a negative thing, where people can do it and take control rather than saving things. They are creating it and make it evil, bad.
Yeah. The bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. And then, was this your first book you ever written?
Yes.
And then what? And so, were you just motivated by what was going on politically to write the book, and it kind of gave you the format for the novel?
Yes. Yeah. It started from that. From the Brady law and how I saw what was happening and what I learned about FEMA. And basically a lot of my time in the military when I was overseas, it made me appreciate America.
Yeah.
When I came home, like in Italy, they have the carabinieri there, and if you do something wrong, you just get shot. And that's legal.
The carabinieri?
Yeah, it's the military police.
Italian carbonara. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, they're Italy. They're called the military police. And when we got there, we were all.
Now the carbonara is an Italian classic pasta dish.
Pardon?
Am I spelling this wrong? I'm spelling carbonara.
Carbonara. Now you got me off. Carbonara. Exactly what it comes through to. It's military police.
Oh, okay.
Is what they are. But that was one of the things that as I saw other countries, everyone says, "Oh, this is a great country," you know. But yeah, do you really want to live there?
Yeah.
And the one thing in this world that people want to come to is this country. Everybody wants to come here. When I came back here, I was just very, very appreciative for my rights and my privileges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to find this carbonara. I've never heard of such a thing where you can just shoot people at will. If anything, that seems like it's more American police than anything. But what is, or ICE at this pace in 2026? Oh, so I believe I have this here, the Carabinieri, Carabinieri. Does that sound right? It's the National Gendarmerie of Italy who can carry out domestic and foreign policing duties.
Yeah, I really don't want to get into this.
Okay. I was just curious because when we platform stuff on the show saying that things are being done, especially with that implication, you know, we try and establish that whether it's reality.
And whether that happens still, I don't know. It was several years ago that I left. And
okay.
I was in Italy.
Because I would have thought that Italy would be under the guise of international law, and that I don't think that would be legal. But anyway, just to clarify, we don't platform conspiracy and content like that on the show. Let's see here. What made you? I mean, we have a lot of aspiring authors that listen to the show, or they want to get better as authors that listen to the show. What was it that made you? You know, had you done some writing before? Was there anything that warmed you up to this, or did you jump right in? And how did you find your sea legs to become a writer and get your book finished and stuff? How did you develop yourself, maybe?
I had been doing technical writing for a while. Mm-hmm. I tried to do that when I was in the U of A.
Oh, okay.
At Arizona University. And part of that also went into fictional stuff. So I started doing short stories, and I really kind of hit my legs running. I wrote several short stories, nothing really published yet, but it's an anthology.
Oh, really?
I've already I'm putting them together, getting some stories from the U of A that I can put that back in. The novel was the only thing that I had done, anything that long, nothing that. And there is a second book. Basically, it's a sequel that will be even larger than the first one. And I'm hoping that possibly when I get the second, what will happen is when I get the second book published, they're going to basically become one book.
Huh?
And my dad suggested what I was doing, that there are two books. He says they basically blend together.
Yeah.
Really, instead of have one big book, have like part 1, part 2, or something like that.
Part 1, part 2. Yeah, that's what a lot of people do now. I mean, nowadays, most people won't read more than 50,000 words in a book. And so a lot of the book companies have squished it down to smaller books. But what's kind of nice about the process is it makes it so you can just make more books. So you can have additional books. It's kind of fun. Kind of funny if you think about it, because, geez, if they would go the other way, they'd only get one book that you would have to buy if people would read the whole thing. But now you got to have 2 books to buy. I guess the joke's on whoever the readers are, I suppose. And you should have just enjoyed reading 100,000 words instead of 50. But no, look what you did. But it's good for authors, so let's put it that way. Yeah. It is kind of nice to be able to cut stuff up, and then you got all this cutting room floor stuff, and you can put it in your next book and things. So the future holds a second book, possibly?
It's already in the works. I'm
nice.
Putting it together. And
it's going to be a sequel to the first book?
Yeah, basically the beginning of the first it shows the resistance is completely, it's no longer covert where everything is happening. There's now, there's the resistance is putting out the word everybody. American people are getting together to join the resistance, and that's at the end of it. The next book is more how it comes back together. It's more conflict, and how everything, all of the different authoritative people, the military, the police, how everybody had to make their decision as to what are you going to do? Are you going to do what the president says, or are you going to do what your oath says and take care of the Constitution? And that's where there becomes a problem between everybody. Basically, the resistance is not just a bunch of people with muskets and cannons. We got the military. We got everything is there too. And there's part of the book is where the resistance is getting people out of one of the FEMA camps that were a lot of press people were gotten away. They just disappeared because the press, even if you don't like what anybody's saying, they just put you away, and you're not allowed. Resistance saves the FEMA camps, saves the people that are in these things. That's part of it. Then there's a part where one of the people is in Washington D.C. and he's basically undercover, and he's trying to get the information he can on the government. He was a FBI agent. Obviously, he's no longer an FBI agent now that he's part of the resistance.
Yeah, probably.
And there's just more layers to what I've done with the storing on the second one. And then at the end, I imagine everything coming back together. One interesting thing that happened, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a Mexican fellow, and I mentioned to him about what I was doing with the FEMA camp and how there were people on the crew that were the Mexican people were cooking, and they said, "Hey, nobody watches us. We're just here cooking your food and getting your drinks." And then when we took it, everything, we were basically, what it was that I came to them is they were what they're doing to help with the resistance. We weren't citizens before. My idea is it's like an open country. If you come in and you're here and you're helping us, you're going to be American citizens. The reason that this can be something that a lot of people don't is because with the new government, with everything coming back together, there's no more of the freebies. There's no
fair, that sort of
welfare. Exactly. It's like basically the community comes together, and that's how everybody's gonna get together. So you can become citizens. You're just not going to get Social Security or welfare, or,
Yeah.
None of that free stuff.
As we round up the show, do you have anticipated release date for the second book?
I'm hoping within a year.
Within a year.
Yeah, and I'm hoping somewhere to find somebody that's a movie producer that might be interested in it, because every person that has read this story says that this has got to be made into a movie. My story, it moves my type of writing. Writing is, I don't know if you're familiar with Louis L'Amour.
Yeah.
But his reading is very, very action. There's disciple there's things that put in to show what the picture looks like, but you don't have 5 pages of what's in the, what are you driving through the mountain. It's very short, and it's action, and it's fast moving, and all of my stories with Louis L'Amour I like, and my type has tried him to just make it more action.
Louis L'Amour. I remember the author. When I was a kid, I was just a stupid little kid, and I would go hang out with my grandfather, and he worked as a security guard at a golf course. And it was a security guard for the houses that were being built around the golf course, and so he, they were building this construction of all these homes around this golf course and stuff. And so he was a security guard to make sure nothing happened to stuff and shenanigans. And so he had a lot of free time, and he had this big old Chevy I'm pretty sure it was a Chevy. It was one of those big Impala type, boats. And he would read during the dead time of being a security guard, Louis L'Amour books. And so he must have had 50 of them piled up in the back seat of his car. And I would be hanging out with him as a kid, he'd be babysitting me or whatever. And I would, be thumbing through these books, and I would, spend hours looking at the covers and trying to understand why he liked these books and stuff. But he loved them, man. Was that an influence for you, Louis L'Amour? Did you read a lot of those when you were younger?
Not when I was young. No, when I was younger, I was more into science fiction.
Oh, okay.
Roy Bradbury and Asimov and such. Mm-hmm. When I got into the military, we'd have the duty jobs. Mm-hmm. The overnight things, and I would finish my book and I'd go into the rec room and I'd see what was in there, and I'd find a Louis L'Amour book, and I'd read it in like one day, because I was just able to blast right through it, and then I just went from there, and I have a whole library now.
Wow. Yeah, he wrote at the time of his death, the American novelist. He wrote, let's see, I was trying to find it. Now they just gave me the whole Louis L'Amour Wikipedia. By the time of his death, all of his 105 existing works, 89 novels, 14 short stories collections, 2 full-length works of nonfiction were still in print. 105 existing books. Yeah. It seems like there'd be more, because my grandpa, man, he had them all. It seemed.
Yeah, they were great. There was one movie that was there should have been a second one, and I have this this daydream of where I'd actually become a little bit more, famous or whatever, that I could possibly get the agreement to write the second story to this book.
We'll look forward to seeing it and having it and all that good stuff. As we go out, I don't know if you remembered your .com off the top of your head, your website, or social media, or wherever people can find you, maybe on the interwebs.
It's
If not, we can put it on the Chris Voss show, so we'll have it there. Doesn't it have a variation of your name or something, maybe?
Yeah, it's azshadowwriter.com. azshadowwriter.com.
EasyShadowwriter.com.
Yeah, that's the website, is azshadowwriter.com. And the email is mark@azshadowwriter.com.
Thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it, Mark.
It's nice here. Something's happened with my camera here. I can't see anything working, so I'm hoping you're able to see stuff.
We can kind of see you on the thing, but we'll have a picture of your book in the middle there for the product placement. Okay. I'm going to round out the show as we go out. Thanks, Manus, for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. It is entitled Freedom Lost, out July 20th, 2021, by Mark A. Handy. And you'll find a link to his books and stuff on the Chris Voss Show at thechrisvossshow.com. Be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right there, Mark. We're out.